Say hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a 2-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
Hey, good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful spring day here in studios of Jim Hinckley's America, just within spitting distance of legendary Route 66. 52 degrees, going to be up in the mid 70s by this afternoon. Very, very nice weather. Hey, we'll start this by giving a shout out to our good friends in Tucumcari, New Mexico. Take a look at their website. Visit tucumcarinm.com. Lots of neat stuff going on in Tucumcari. They are really moving forward with a lot of exciting projects to revitalize the historic heart of the city, which is actually a few blocks off Route 66, down by the old train depot, which has been renovated. And of course, we have the Mesalands Community College Dinosaur Museum and the Odin Theater, which dates to the mid 1930s, still showing films on a regular basis. And I'm very excited to hear that the Old Princess Theater, which dates to something like 1916, 1917, is being renovated as well. But Tucumcari is not the only place that's getting a bit of a facelift, if you will. We've got a lot of exciting things happening here in Kingman, Arizona, my adopted hometown. We have got a downtown infrastructure project that a little bit of a battle going on with that, but well, we'll see how that goes. That could be transformative. We have got lots of new things happening down there. Grand Canyon Brewing Company, which is based out of Flagstaff and Williams. Big company, half a dozen locations. They've moved downtown Kingman and busy, which is really great. We have the Route 66 Fun Run coming up the first weekend in May. We have the Chillin' on Beale, third weekend of the month coming down the pike. And we've got some new businesses starting up downtown and some old buildings being revitalized. It's been a long struggle, but we are making some progress. And I am really excited about this. And, well, I'll tell you what. I think you're going to be hearing a lot about Kingman as we grow closer to the centennial of Route 66. We have got some plans going for that, and we be talking more about that soon. I have accepted a position on the Route 66 Route 66 Centennial Commission in Tucumcari, New Mexico. I'm kind of excited about that project. Meanwhile, here in Kingman, I want to talk to you too about a couple other things that's going on. Neon Sign Initiative. We've been recovering some signs. We had a little bit of a tragedy. The Route 66 Association of Kingman, Arizona, was spearheading development of the neon sign initiative, acquisition of signs, working with property owners to have facade renovation, and then restoration and placement of signs, and even recreation of signs. And the president of the association, Scott Dutton, passed away unexpectedly recently, and kind of left that project in limbo for the foreseeable future. And we'll be able to provide you some updates on that as they become available. We have acquired some interesting signs that we were hoping to get put up. We have the Branding Iron Motel. That's now Branding Iron Apartments at the top of El Trovador Hill. That sign was located, believe it or not, in a junkyard down in Phoenix, Arizona, and is being process being restored. The City Cafe sign. We have the Imperial Motel sign, and a couple others going up. We've got the Packard sign up, the Desert Drug sign, and another project that had a little bit of a setback here in Kingman was the with the Beale Hotel. We were in discussions to get the big Hotel Beale air-cooled sign, finding a way to get some matching funds grants together. Yes, and the owner of the Hotel Beale has passed away the same week as Scott Dutton, and that's another tragedy for us. But lots of exciting things. One of the big projects we're got phase one of the self-guided, narrated historic district walking tour, about 38 points of interest downtown. And what makes this really interesting, we didn't just focus on historic sites. We also brought the stories of the artists behind our public arts projects to life. We have sculptures, murals. We tell the stories of the artists behind these projects, as well as the stories of the people behind some of our historic sites. So that's a really exciting project, and I'm hoping this was done by Kingman Main Street. I'm hoping that we can get a phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 up and going. And even more importantly, I'm hoping this will be a template for other communities. You can find information on this at kingman.tours. Real simple there. And tell me what you think. If you have ideas on other sites, ways we can improve that would be always great. Another little note to bring to mind here, showing you the changing times on Route 66. The Route 66 Fun Run is going to have a pretty good contingent this year of electric vehicles. We're really excited about that. The Historic Electric Vehicle Association, we've had a small electric vehicle museum here at the Powerhouse Visitor Center for quite a few years, since 2014. But the Historic Electric Vehicle Foundation is now shifting gears on this, moving it forward. They've acquired 2 historic buildings downtown Kingman, and one is the original firehouse, and the second is the old Oddfellows Lodge. Well, let's see here if we can. We just got a little technical issue here. Let's see here. One second, folks. The the Electric Vehicle Association has The Electric Vehicle Association is also working with a city that has acquired an old Safeway building. And the game plan is to create a real innovative, first rate EV experience, not just a museum chronicling the history of the electric vehicle. It'll be educational facility. Uh, the whole shooting match here. And you know what a lot of people don't realize is the electric vehicle, even though it's the talk of the town right now, it's they're old. And just to give you one example, is the 1890s, late 1890s, the Woods Company out of Chicago, Illinois. They were building electric buses and electric taxi cabs in New York for use in New York City in the late 1890s. Is that a surprise?
Uh-oh.
Miss Maggie, I'm glad you found your glasses. We're having a little bit of we've got Tim and Lenore going to be with us this morning. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties for reasons unknown. But to give you a little bit background, Tim and Lenore are people who dare to dream. And we're glad for people like Tim and Lenore that have tenacity. They have taken on not one, but 3 linked projects. And it's going to have a big effect on Kingman when this is. Let's see if I can get them here. One second, and we will have that going here. The project they're taking on is pretty impressive. There's an old cafe down at. It's interesting because we cannot quite pin down the date on when it was exactly built, but it was a cafe in the late 30s. It's a beautiful stone building along Route 66, and it hasn't been a restaurant or cafe in decades. In fact, it hasn't been anything for decades, and they're giving it a new lease on life. And then there's a space in between, and then we have the old Denny Moore's bar, which has gone through multitude of transitions over the years, and now that's being transformed. As soon as we can get Tim and Lenore here, I don't want to give away too much of this, but this is going to be quite a project because one of the issues we have in our historic district as we revitalize, as we get this renaissance going, is to lodging downtown. We have the Arizona Inn, which is a 1964 roadway motel, and it is been renovated. Really kind of nice, but it's an old school and basic, but it still leaves us short on lodging. Well, Tim and Lenore have come up with an interesting solution. Excuse me. It involves Airstream trailers, and we'll see if we can get them on board here. We do run into technical difficulties here at our Mayberry television station. There's Lenore. Lenore, can you try to give us a call in by chance? And see if that works out for us. There you are.
Hey, Jim.
How are you this beautiful morning?
It is a beautiful day. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but I think we got them resolved.
It's not a problem. We've learned to roll with the punches here, and being modern Amish, I've come to the conclusion that technology is not always our friend.
Well, that's true. And somebody who makes a living with technology prides herself on being able to do better. So I apologize.
Oh, no apologies needed. We had some other business to take care of this morning. We were trying to get the word out, and we were teasing people a bit about the exciting project you and Tim have taken on. I got to tell you, we need dreamers, and we need dreamers who dare to take those dreams and do something with them. And you and Tim manifest that. Uh, I was just telling people, you've got a unique plan to provide some lodging downtown. Would you like
We
to tell
do.
us about that?
Sure. So Tim and I started dreaming about Airstreams and putting Airstreams as an Airbnb downtown, taking advantage of all of the Route 66 connections. And we started looking at, for instance, Escalante in Zion, and there are some other places right here in Arizona as well that have a similar concept. And there's also an Airstream Airbnb community. There's sprinkled across the country. And we thought, well, if we could find the right property and find the Airstreams and find somebody to renovate them, we might have something here. And we started just pulling on strings to get the pieces to come together. And it did. It's taken a while. There's a lot of creative energy behind it. And we're not developers, we're creative people that make Kingman our home. And so we were a little naive about the number of hoops that you have to go through to be able to do this, but we're well on our way and we feel excited about it.
If we knew ahead of time, there's so many things in life like that. If we knew ahead of time, we probably wouldn't do these things. But sometimes ignorance is bliss. That's the only way we get through these.
That's
Uh,
certainly true in this case.
when you're building an entire complex here, you're not only bringing these airstreams and giving a unique lodging experience, but you're giving a new lease on life to two buildings. I mentioned the old stone cat building that was a cafe in the late 30s, early 40s, and the old Denny Moore's bar. You're giving those a new lease on life.
Yeah. So Tim and I were joking, laughing about that this morning because we didn't necessarily want the buildings, we wanted the property. And so with the property came those two buildings, and because we're in an historic overlay district, we couldn't get rid of them. And the little stone building has a ton of charm. It's just been vacant for so long. It was initially hard to see how to bring it to life. But with some creative help from my business partner as well, Stephanie Weaver in Wyoming, we launched on the idea of making the little stone building a walk-up ice cream scoop shop, because it's been there a long time, but it is not functional by today's standards. So we have figured out the highest and best use of it by inviting the public to walk up to the building rather than in the building. And we're going to be serving the best ice cream you've ever tasted out of there. And then Dinty Moore's is going to get new life as an artisan coffee shop. And we're going to be, we know our roaster is late for the train out of Flagstaff, another Route 66 connection. And we're going to be bringing Dinty Moore's back to life as just a quaint, cozy Route 66 coffee shop with lots of photo ops.
You wouldn't happen to know a talented musician that could perform down there, would you?
I would know a talented musician because that's the creative person that I hang out with.
Good morning, Jim.
Mr. Tim, how
Yeah,
are you doing today?
well, not bad. I'm fighting off the cold, so pardon my Eeyore voice.
Not
But
a problem. Not a problem at all. It's good you could join us. Tim has is it Tin Can Music Studios?
yes,
I posted a link the other day. You need to take a listen to Tim's music. I put him up there pretty close to Mean Mary. As everybody fans know, I am just obsessed with Mean Mary's music, and Tim's right up there. So this coffee shop's going to have a little music, perhaps, Tim.
perhaps. Yeah, maybe we'll do a little coffee shop jam uh, every week or every other week or something. We don't know. Already have the piano, but it's in storage right now. I picked up an old, funky old piano, upright piano that somebody bought at the what is now the Beale Street Theater. I guess there used to be kind of an antique store there, and
Yeah.
little history there. But uh, yeah, the music is part of it, but not part of it. But
I gotcha.
it all ties in.
Sure, sure.
Eventually.
So we're going to be able to enjoy some nice ice cream probably by mid-June. Is that the story?
That's right. So we are on target, and I have to give a shout out and a big hug to Toby Orr because he's our general contractor, and he has taken this project to heart. And he is just like he is offering his services for the Beale Street Theater. He's offering his services to us and mostly to downtown Kingman. He believes in the project and he believes in the revitalization of downtown Kingman. So Toby has said this ice cream shop is going to be ready to go. And his portion of it will be done in the beginning of June, and then we'll hopefully get occupancy permits and health department green lights, and we're hoping to open and serve that first cone, maybe to Jim Hinckley, on in mid-June.
Well, we'll have to figure out a way to do something special down there to kick that off. But I'm personally am very excited. Ice cream. I need more ice cream like a frog needs tap dancing shoes, but I do like ice cream.
No, Jim, everybody needs ice cream in their life.
Well, that's how you get in this kind of shape. I'm starting to look like I might have swallowed a watermelon without chewing. But that's okay too. That's the way we do things. I'm so excited about your project, and I mentioned this the other night when we were talking that your infectious enthusiasm, your tenacity, your patience, it's inspirational. It really is, and I'm hoping it inspires other people to look around where they're at, how you can change your community. If you don't mind imitating a pinata a little bit. And you folks are just doing such a great job down there. And I just think we're going to create another destination down on Route 66.
Well, thanks, Jim. It is infectious because there were many opportunities to walk away from this project along the way, but we were already excited about it. We already had the vision in our heads. We were ready to go, and honestly, not very smart from a business perspective, but one of the first things we started doing was buying vintage Airstreams. So once we had some Airstreams, we were more committed than ever and also more excited. You cannot help but be excited when you start hanging out with vintage Airstreams and watching the rebirth of those. They're 50 plus years old, each one of them.
The old Airstream trailers are that's a story in itself. The history of the Airstream trailer, and it's kind of fitting, a real fitting that you're doing this on Route 66 because Airstream trailers is like Chevrolet, apple pie, hot dogs. It's just as American as you can get, and that's just exciting. And you were also you were hoping to find maybe some old signage that you could repurpose.
Oh, yeah. So if anybody out there knows of some old neon signs that we could repurpose, relocate, we'd be honored to get our hands on some of those and make them part of the experience in downtown Kingman on our property.
That would be great. So if anybody out there, preferably some old neon signage here in Northwest Arizona, maybe Western California, someplace relatively close. It'd be nice if Nolan turned up a nice sign in his neck of the woods, but South Carolina's a bit far, so that might not work too well. But of course, unless Nolan's planning on delivery, this whole project, do you think it would be safe to say that if this is kind of optimistic, but if everything starts to go as planned, which would be really new for you, maybe everything will be up and running by next summer?
Oh yeah, so we're committed to that. I think for the first time in this journey, I believe that that's realistic. So and we're kind of knocking them down one at a time. So Scoops is going to open Scoops on 66 at mid-June. The coffee shop is a little bit more involved. Dinty Moore's wasn't in the best shape, so we've had to show it some love, and so it'll be ready this fall.
That's called Mud on 66.
Yep, Mud will be open hopefully this fall, and then we turn all of our attention to Airstreams and getting the infrastructure set up for the Airstream Airbnb community, which is on the same property, and that will be our target date. Now, you talked about being, excited and tenacious. I'm going to have to remain both here to make the target date, but our target date is April 1st of next year.
Well, we'll have to have every time one of these new businesses open, we will have to have some sort of we'll have to get a festivity together. And we'll have to find a way to celebrate that, because that's going to be a real milestone for you.
It is. And when people see these Airstreams, and they're all vintage 60s and 70s, and bringing them back to life and putting them on a property, it's going to have some great outdoor community space there. It's an exciting project, and it's going to light up that section of Kingman.
And you have these aren't just Airstreams. You have one that's kind of special there that belonged to the railroad.
Yes, we were lucky enough. Well, first of all, Tim is a railroad nut. He spends a lot of his time watching trains and filming trains to incorporate into his music videos. And as you've probably noticed, Jim, a lot of the music evolves around Route 66 and the railroad industry. So with that, we're always searching for old Airstreams that meet our specifications. So 31 feet minimum, 60s, 70s. Really, the more gutted they are, the better. And so in my searching, poking around week after week, I came across a 1960 Southern Pacific rail car that had been used by the Southern Pacific Railroad to take crew members out into the desert where they're laying tracks. And so they would load these Airstreams onto a rail car, ship them out there. That's where the crew would live, and that's where the foreman would live. And we were successful in getting a foreman car. There's less than 100 of them made. You still can see the shadow of the Southern Pacific Railroad emblem on it. It is actually 33 feet, and if you are at all a fan of Airstreams, you'll be interested to know that it's a single axle at 33 feet. And at first I thought, well, that must be a mistake. It's missing an axle. But then we connected with the Airstream Historic Association and also the Southern Pacific Railways historian, and they explained to us that it was with intent that those longer Airstreams had one axle for the railroad, because one person could literally pick up the tongue on it, position it on the rail car, and turn it 90 degrees with a single axle. So there'd be all these Airstreams lined up perpendicular to the rail car and ready to ship out into the field. So it's a beauty. It's a diamond in the rough at this point. It's got a lot of potential, and it needs a lot of love.
I have to ask, you've got so many irons in the fire, and so many things, renovating trailers and buildings. And what do you do in your spare time between 2 and 4 in the morning?
That's about it. I usually start ramping up my real job between 2 and 4 in the morning, and so it's been a blast, though. It's been crazy, irons in the fire. More learning has taken place in the last 2 years than in a very long time, but it's a blast.
Jim, I'll touch a little bit on the name of our project. Is called Tin Can Alley on 66. We are going to build up to 8 trailers. Each one has a 66 connection. As far as the name, we have the hackberry. Let's start. We have the Oatman, we have the Kingman, the Hackberry, the Seligman. We just recently picked up the Flagstaff.
Wow.
The rail car is actually going to be the Williams because of its railroad ties, and then we'll have the Holbrook and the Winslow.
Very nice. Very nice. Uh, gosh, Tim, I'm sorry you're not feeling too well. Tim is going to be at, for anybody who's attending the AAA Route 66 Road Fest in Tulsa. I understand you're going to be there, Tim, with your music and
Yes,
a
I'm going to
little
have a booth.
promotion.
I'm going to have a booth there and selling some CDs, and I just ordered up some USBs. They're a little more mobile, and people with, I don't know, CDs can be a little cumbersome, and not a whole lot of people have CD players. So the USB is a new try at marketing my albums.
That's funny. Yeah, a lot of the cars anymore don't have CD players, and
Right.
I don't know how far we want to date ourselves, but one of my first attempts at being somewhat modern, I had a '64 Rambler station wagon, and I installed a 4-track tape deck in the car, predating 8 tracks. So, yeah. So to think that CDs aren't even usable anymore, it's kind of unnerving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so this is good, and will you be also promoting the Kingman projects when you're at Tulsa?
Yes, we're working on promoting the walking downtown walking tour. Uh,
Yes, yes.
Maybe you can fill in a little more details about that. But we're going to have a little section of my booth to help promote Kingman that way.
Very good. And you'll be promoting your coffee shop, ice cream parlor.
Yep, we'll have some information available for sure.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is going to be quite an event. I was talking to Wade about this the other day, and it's not going to be as large as the birthplace of Route 66 Festival, but this is a massive exhibit, 60,000 square feet. And it's going to be one of the biggest shows on the road this year with Route 66. I'm very excited for you. I can't wait to see how this works out. Tim and Lenore, I want to thank you guys for joining us this morning. Does anybody have any questions? Maggie up in East Lansing said she likes ice cream. Here's incentive, Maggie. On the Amtrak, it's about 36 hours to Kingman, and ice cream shop's only going to be about 3 blocks away. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Nolan Stoltz, he's a musician. He's working on a program, Route 66 Suite musical program. And he has a question. He'd like to know how Tim incorporates train sounds into his music.
Mm-hmm. Lots of Doppler effect sounds. So I have fun playing with those.
Maggie said her bags are packed, but there's no rush, Maggie. We've got a few more weeks here before the grand opening.
Also, for Tin Can Alley, I know Mike May of the Electric Vehicle Association is kind of verbally booked the first trailer for Fun Run. Looks like 2024, not this year, but next year. So we're holding one for Mike and his wife.
He's got a note here. He just said, I told Tim I wanted to be your first reservation on the books for the Airstream Fun Run 2024.
Yes.
It's going to be a lot of pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and ultimately, we're all ramping up for the 2026 celebration, the 100-year celebration, of Route 66.
Well, that is going to be. I hope communities all along the road get together, because that could be a year-long, 2,200-mile block party. It's going to be pretty fantastic. Nolan, we'll have to talk about that. Nolan Stoltz said it would be fun to find a neon sign in South Carolina on one of his adventures and bring it out here to Arizona. Nolan has 2 projects, one that intersects with yours. And next time Nolan is in town, I'll introduce him to you, Tim. He is creating a suite for the Centennial,
Yes.
musical suite. And he's also got this other project that has just, I've become obsessed with. He is chronicling some Route 66 ghost towns, and not just ghost towns. They're the most obscure place. I don't know how, Nolan, I don't know how you come up with this stuff. But he's finding towns that probably at their peak, they were never more than the proverbial wide spot in the road. Places like Mud College, Oklahoma. But he's got quite a project where he's documenting and chronicling the history of these communities, and it's quite a little endeavor he's got going. And he'll be out here in a few weeks. I'll make sure that we get some introductions done.
That'd be great. And I love the idea of the ghost town project.
Yeah, it's I just some of the most obscure towns and fascinating histories, and we'll make sure we get some introductions facilitated when Nolan and his wife come out in a few weeks. And I just had a note pop up here from Dale Butel. He has a tour company out of Australia, Route 66 Tours. He'll be in Kingman this next week with his first spring tour, and says he's a fan of ice cream. So we'll see. So we got some Aussies that should be paying you a visit once you get open here. That'd be kind of nice.
It would be wonderful. We'd welcome everyone.
Anything else, Tim or Lenore, you'd like to add to this? Or
We appreciate the opportunity. I just want to again say Kingman's our home. This is, you called it your adopted home. It's our adopted home as well. And so we're honored to be able to sort of weave ourselves into the fabric of Kingman even more. And these creative ideas that are sort of, labors of love at this point. It's nice to see people get excited about them. So thank you everyone for the kind thoughts and comments.
Kingman is, for all its faults, and we talk about it a lot. It's like a big dysfunctional family reunion sometimes. But people come together in this community, like you mentioned with Toby Orr, and there's a lot worse places to live. I've tried some, but Kingman's a good place. It really is. Lots of opportunity. The weather's good, and a lot of good people here, and people such as yourself and Tim. That, gosh darn it, it's just a good place to be.
It sure is. And we are looking forward to meeting other people that stop by. Nolan's got a note here that he's looking forward to meeting up with us. Likewise, we'd love the opportunity to spend some time with you.
Yeah, he'll be out in a few weeks, and we'll make sure we get some introductions. When it comes to music, I think Nolan and Tim will have a lot to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, thank you for doing this morning. If you've got an open invitation, just holler anytime, and we'll talk about maybe doing a live program down there when you get open or something of that nature. See if we can get some fun going out of this. And next week, speaking of music, Joe Lesh of the Road Crew will be our guest next week. Joe and the Road Crew have done our theme song here for Jim Hinckley's America. He's a voice acting coach, a few other things, and he's got quite a story. He and a couple of his band members have been together since performing in USO clubs back in Vietnam, and really, really a fascinating fella. I think you're going to enjoy that a lot. And speaking of Joe, I guess we should button this up this morning. And I do want to thank you, Tim and Lenore, for not just joining us this morning, but for being an inspiration and for giving these buildings a new lease on life. It's greatly appreciated.
You're welcome.
My friends, we will do this again next week. About the same time. And meanwhile, we'll give a shout out to our good friends at Roadrunner Lodge in Cary, New Mexico, the Uranus Flight Company, along with near St. Robert,
Say
Missouri.
hello to a new friend.
And Cactus Inn Motel, McLean, Texas. Angela Moreland's doing a great job
Take
there.
a two-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
My friends, we will do this again next week, and now you got an added reason to be traveling Route 66 this summer. Some great ice cream in Kingman, Arizona. Until next week, mi amigos, we will see you on the road, I hope. Take care, my friends. Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tim.